Surf, sun, and sand. Great food, a Ferris wheel, rides, games, and fun, fun, fun. That's what's in store for you at the Misquamicut Fall Festival, September 17th, 18th, and 19th at Misquamicut State Beach. Entertainment all weekend long features local and national acts. The Misquamicut Fall Festival is a family-friendly event with carnival rides, magic shows, karate demos, arts and crafts, a food truck rodeo, chainsaw wood carving, and so much more. Go to MisquamiCutFestival.org for more information.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Fall Fest preview. We have only one more Fall Fest preview after this. We're very excited. It's going to be kicking off tomorrow. By the way, my name is Ben Barber. I should have said that at the beginning. Anyway, Fall Fest kicks off tomorrow night, 5 to 11 on Friday, 11 to 11 on Saturday, and 11 to 5 on Sunday. We are so excited to be back at the beach. And it's been a long time. It's been 2 years since we've had one of these festivals at the beach, and everybody is so grateful and so excited to be back. So I just want to start by saying that, and thank you, and a thank you to our sponsors, 102.3 The Wolf, Westerly Hospital, Yale New Haven Health. Thank you to them. The Pleasant View Inn, which is a major component of making it happen to get all of these music acts, these stars from around the country to Misquamicut, and also Rockwell Amusements, the rides. As you saw yesterday, the rides are there. They are set up on the state beach, and there's nothing better. I keep saying it, and I know that it's old hat at this point, but there's nothing quite like looking out at the Atlantic Ocean from the top of a Ferris wheel. So I hope that you guys will all come down and check us out there. Today, I have a very special guest. This is maybe the one that I'm most excited to have talked about and talked to this entire time. Right now, I am joined by musician, singer-songwriter, ASCAP award-winning singer-songwriter from New York City, which, by the way, I am also an ASCAP award-winning songwriter, but that is ridiculous, and I shouldn't have said that out loud. It's technically true, but that's ridiculous. This man is a writer. He's a contributor he's been a longtime contributor for Rolling Stone and the Wall Street Journal and the New Yorker and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Slate.
Hi, Ben. So
Jeff, how are you?
We're compatriots.
We are exactly the same. We're exactly the same.
We are both wearing black. There you go. Right on.
There, yes, that is where the similarities stop. So I wrote lyrics for a friend who was in film school at NYU, who ended up going on to win an ASCAP award. That was very nice, and I got like
there you go.
It doesn't
honorable
matter.
Mention.
Yeah. It doesn't. I had to like sign things.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Eventually. But anyway, so thank you for coming. You are kicking off Fall Fest tomorrow night.
I know. I'm really excited.
First festival on the beach. We usually have 2 a year. We haven't had them in 2 years, and we're so excited. And there's nobody that could be better. Can you tell us a little bit about Jeff Slate and Friends?
It's a group of New York City musicians who we've played together now for almost 10 years. And, the lineup has changed a little bit over time, but the core lineup has pretty much stayed the same, and everybody has amazing credit. So it's obviously myself and Mark Bosch on guitar. Mark has played with Mott the Hoople and Ian Hunter and, everybody and anybody. Shannon Conley, who used to be in Led Zeppelin and has been on Broadway and Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Mark Platty, who produced David Bowie and, played on several David Bowie tours, is on bass. Scott Campbell, who's played with Don DeLego and a number of New York musicians on drums. And, it's a great lineup of people, and they can play anything. So we have a set list that we're going to play, but you never know. I always like to keep people on their feet, and I might change the key or change the song or whatever. So, and they can play anything. That's the great thing about it.
That's fantastic. As is the great thing about any assembly of musicians from New York. Anything can be played at any time, and that's generally the case of what happens. And I'm so excited. Yes, absolutely. So I'm very interested in the fact that you are both a musician, an accomplished musician, and an accomplished writer. You co-authored the the biography for, the biography for Roy Orbison, among many of your feats, as well as, again, like a contributor for Rolling Stone and et cetera, NBC News, I believe. What is it? How is that balancing act of being both a performer and a writer in the same genre? Where you're probably writing about people that you then interact with as a musician.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people, I would say the majority of people that I interview, I know socially in some way or another. I've crossed paths with over the years. Look, I started as a musician. I grew up in New London, Connecticut. So I started as a musician in the 80s and, came to New York in the mid 80s and started playing professionally. And so I had a long career, both as a solo artist, and then I worked with Pete Townsend, and then I was in a band called The Badge. And, so I had a lot of people in my, Rolodex, or whatever the kids call it now. And then, sort of mid 2000s, I was in a band called The Badge, and that sort of, went through some lineup changes and some difficulties. Our guitar player at the time had some health problems. And right at that moment, because the internet was happening and downloading was happening, the whole music business changed. And so really in a very short period of time, it was really hard to make a living as I think the people at the top tier have always been able to make a living, even if they got hit a little bit. But the people at my level were really hit by that. And so to offset my income, I thought, well, I've got this great Rolodex and I'll try to do some writing. And I dabbled a little bit. And then I did a review of a Beatles biography for Esquire magazine. And then they asked me, and it went well, and they asked me, what else do you have? And so I didn't really have anything else. So but because I had worked with Pete Townsend and I'd gotten to know Zach Starkey over the years, who plays drums with The Who, I emailed Zach and I said, hey, could I interview your dad for Esquire magazine? Because I had met Ringo a few times at that point socially, and he's, amazing guy. And so I interviewed Ringo for Esquire. And then in quick succession, just by coincidence, I was able to interview Elton John and Jimmy Page for Esquire. And then the door was sort of open. And so most of the musicians I knew saw those interviews and were willing to speak to me because they trusted me. First of all, they knew me, personally, and they trusted me to tell the story in a fair way and sympathetic way. But also they knew that I was a musician and that I would see things differently than the average rock writer or even average journalist. And so even the people that I didn't know previous to that, like now I've interviewed, good examples, David Crosby. I've interviewed David probably 10 or 15 times and we've become friends. But the first time I interviewed him, I didn't know him. Our paths had never crossed before. And I got to his hotel room to interview him and he opened the door and he was like, you're not a writer, you're a musician, you're one of us. And that, I think that, and it was a joke and we joke about it even now, but it helps break the ice when people that you don't know feel that you speak the same language, that they can talk to you about things. And if they say, I really don't want that in the article, that you'll honor that, you won't try to get them. You won't go for a cheap headline. Because, the music business, whether it's writing or playing or whatever, is all about those relationships. So the people that I've known for long periods of time, the guys in the Heartbreakers or, Pete and Roger Daltrey or Ringo for that matter, I think they come to an interview knowing there's some history and that they don't have to be completely on guard. And I think that just makes for better writing for me. And also, that, a lot of opportunities have come in my music career because, though I'm nurturing those relationships in a positive way. So I think that's the best way to answer it.
Well, that makes that's a beautiful answer. Which is not a surprise that you're incredibly well spoken. I mean, it's
I try.
Yeah. The what do you personally consider yourself first? Do you consider yourself a writer first now, or still a musician first?
No, I mean I'm a musician who writes,
Yeah.
and the majority of my income is from music. Even in 2020, 2021, when it was hard. I mean that's predominantly what I do. Um, but I'm fortunate that I think it is. I live in New York City. It's a very expensive city to live in, and so I'm fortunate to have this other thing that I do that doesn't detract from what I do. I know a lot of
Yep.
musicians, they work in guitar stores or record stores, or they, buddy of mine works for UPS or whatever. And by the time they get home, if they need to create or they're going in the studio or whatever, they're burned out. It's really hard to put on that creative hat. And so the good thing about writing about music is, very little of my time is spent at a keyboard. Most of it is listening to music that I'm going to review, or going to shows that I'm going to review, or interviewing fellow musicians. And if you spend an hour with somebody, only 10 or 15 minutes of that makes it into the interview. The rest of it's, you're talking about people you both know, or shows you've seen, or what you're listening to. Um, so it all feeds into the same, it's all under the same creative hat. But if I have to pick one, I'm a musician first, and then I get to supplement my income by writing. And I also, and that has turned into hosting on Sirius, which I never went after. I never wanted to do that. But I really enjoy it because writing an article, you do a lot of homework, and you spend a lot of time writing and tweaking and editing, and you're dealing back and forth with an editor. When you're on the radio, as you know, we're saying this, and when we finish this, we'll be done.
Yep.
And so that's a great thing. If I do a 3-hour shift on Sirius, when the mic goes off, I'm doing three shows next week. When the mic goes off, I'm done for the day. I can take the rest of the day off. I can go, do sort of whatever if I want to.
Yep.
So I think that's another creative outlet that again falls under the same umbrella.
And that's another for anybody who hasn't ever heard Jeff on Sirius, check it out because he's amazing. My so first I'm on behalf of everybody in Westerly and Mesquamaket Beach. I want to say thank you for considering yourself a musician first, because if you didn't, you probably wouldn't be coming to see us tomorrow.
Right.
And we're very excited about that. You mentioned 2020, 2021, the difficulties of COVID. You played a lot. Some artists did not embrace the virtual shows. You went the other way. You fully embraced the virtual shows, the live streams on Facebook and Instagram. What was that experience like, and how important was it to just keep playing for people?
In retrospect, it was incredibly important to do. I didn't intend to do it. I didn't even want to do it. But in the first month or so of the pandemic, like everybody, I was just sitting around, and I was playing the guitar a lot anyway, because there was, especially here in New York City, I'm sure it was bad there, but we couldn't really go out at all. I live in a neighborhood, the hospital's just about 100 yards away. It was sirens 24/7. I mean, it was grim. And so I mentioned this to my agent, and we talked about it a little bit. And there was really no way to make money from it per se, because I didn't, I'm not, it's like there are people like the at the time. I remember Chris Martin from Coldplay had done one, and like millions of people had seen it. And then a little bit further down the food chain of music, some other artists were doing it and were charging for it. But they have a sizable audience. But for me to charge at the outset, at least, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to set it up or perform to a camera necessarily, even though I've done some television. So I just, did it. And it was really fun and really successful right off the bat. And I think I was kind of terrible the first couple of shows, but I know how to play a song, and I know, but performing to a video screen where the most distracting thing was the comments, sort of popping up as you're playing and whatever. But what was amazing to me was that because everybody was at home, people were tuning in and really enjoying it. And it was people from all over the world, people who, there were friends of mine from England and people in Japan and, people checking in from all over the world who I knew and hadn't seen for a very long time, or who had never seen me perform live or hadn't seen me perform live in quite a long time. And so I was both making new fans and sort of solidifying old relationships, which was really nice. So it grew and grew and grew, and I ended up doing 40 or 50 of them. And over time, there was a charity here in New York City bringing meals to the healthcare workers at the hospital near where I live. So I raised money for that. We raised a lot of money every week. People were really generous. And then I started raising money for social justice causes, and people again were super generous, and they didn't let the politics get into it. It was everybody just wanted to help. And then finally I turned it into a CD download, T-shirt, whatever it is you want to, and made a live album out of it, and it's done incredibly well. And so it was, and I did a couple of them for other things. I did one for I think I did the Woody Guthrie Center and out in Tulsa, and Martin. I'm a Martin guitar artist, so I did one for Martin Guitars and a couple of others. I can't. The Love Is Project, and just sort of anything that was positive. Oh, I know, Light of Day Foundation, Springsteen's charity. I did a couple for them, which I have done. I've done their live shows here in the city. Yeah. So, it was a natural fit. Anyway, but once I got going and figured out how to do it, it was just like doing a show every week. You had to come up with a set list, and I tried not to repeat too much. I tried to learn new songs. I did a lot of covers because people were, tuning in who didn't know me. So, I did a mixture. So it was really fun. It was a learning process for me, and I really, really enjoyed it.
And that's the learning of the new songs and the making sure that the set list, that's something, I mean, when you're on a tour and you're playing one night in New York City and one night in Westerly and one night in Boston, there's like a 99% chance that entire audience is different people. Yeah. But when they're your fans on your Facebook page, there's a good chance that it's the same people every week. And it's really interesting. I always find that fascinating. And it's one of the most fascinating conversations to have with musicians about the last year and a half is extremely talented people like yourself taking the opportunity to help their community entertain people and find and flex new muscles on their own. So I think that's wonderful. I'm a fan of everything that you do, and I really appreciate it. We can't wait to see you tomorrow night headlining Fallfest. Anything you want to, where can people find out more information about Jeff Slate?
Well, I've got a website, jeffslatehq.com, which is easy enough to find. I'm on Spotify and Apple Music and all the usual services under Jeff Slate. And, look, I think a lot of people there in Mesquamacut have seen us before. We've played Fallfest and Springfest before. We did one that was like a hurricane, and we still played. So hopefully we'll get good weather tomorrow. It looked a little grim a week ago, but now it looks pretty good. And we've done the Tunes on the Dunes as well. So I think, there's people there who know us. Like I said, I'm from New London. So I think people know what to expect. I think it's going to be a great time. It's a family-friendly event. My kids, when they were young, used to love coming. They loved the PVN. We call it the PVN for short. And, they loved the rides. I saw the roller coaster on the little preview. It's a great family-friendly night for everyone. And you get some rock and roll too. So we're on at 8. There's some great bands all night and all weekend. So I encourage people to come and dip in and out of the tent or whatever it is, but just, check it out and support the community, because we've all really, as you said, have been struggling, and it hit Mesquamacut the same as it did New York. And so as it did everywhere in the world. So let's get out there and spend some dollars.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jeff. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, guys, check out jeffslatehq.com. I put it in the comments as well as right there on screen, jeffslatehq.com. You can find out everything that Jeff is doing. You can read his incredible writings and listen to his music. You can check him out on Spotify and find him on Sirius XM as well. So I just want to say thank you once again. Tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, we kick off Fall Fest at Mesquamaket Beach, 8 p.m. Jeff Slate and Friends takes the stage on the main stage for the main event. We are so excited. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, Yale New Haven Hospital, Westerly Hospital, 102.3 The Wolf, Rockwell Amusements, the Pleasant View Inn, the PV Inn, as Jeff and his family like to refer to it. Thank you to all of our sponsors. You can find out all of that information at mesquamaketfestival.org. Also, if you buy your tickets online at mesquamaketfestival.org, they are cheaper. There's no like hidden fees. They're actually cheaper if you buy them online on mesquamaketfestival.org. So check that out. We will be back tonight for one final preview one final interview preview with magicians Larry and David. And big difference. Also not Larry David, which also would have been call Caswell. Magicians Larry and David, and then also Nina J from Southbound, and Morgan Betancourt, who's going to talk about the Cardinal Foundation, and her mom, Julie Cardinal, and is also going to be performing. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you at the beach.
Surf, sun, and sand. Great food, a Ferris wheel, rides, games, and fun, fun, fun. That's what's in store for you at the Mesquamaket Fall Festival, September 17th, 18th, and 19th at Mesquamaket State Beach. Entertainment all weekend long features local and national acts. The Mesquamaket Fall Festival is a family-friendly event with carnival rides, magic shows, karate demos, arts and crafts, a food truck rodeo, chainsaw wood carving, and so much more. Go to mesquamaketfestival.org for more information.